Hey guys, me again, obviously. I'm solo tonight. Not by choice, but, long story short, I had a couple guys that were supposed to come with me, but shit happened and I ended up there by myself. So, that's fuck it, I'll review it anyway. So, here I am. Because of the solo review, it's probably gonna be shorter than my regular reviews, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So I'm here to talk about the new Hunger Games movie, Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, because I really don't know why this needs to be split into two parts, but I'll get into that. But, generally, it's good enough. I mean, it's not great. It's just kind of okay. I don't know. It's one of those things I've, heard some people rave about this movie, say it's, a fantastic movie, it's, a perfect, reward for those who have sat through the series before, and I really like the Hunger Games series. I think it's worth knowing. I really liked the first one. I really liked the second one. We didn't review the second one last year because things came up, and kind of like this one just never got recorded. But so I really liked the second one. I actually thought the second one was better than the first one. This one, not so much. This one was kind of the weakest of the three. A lot of that has to do with, I've heard a lot from, fans of the books that, even, people who really like the books say, Mockingjay is kind of the weakest one in the bunch. And looking at it, look at the movie's an indication, I can kind of see why, because for all intents and purposes, it's your generic rebellion movie. The big bad government with a small little rebellion fighting against the big power. We've seen this a million times, and there's really not much new here. There are a couple things I really liked, which is what kind of saves us being mediocre, is the Hunger Games series has always been strongest when it's focusing on the social satire. That's always when it's been best. Like, the people in the Capitol with the ridiculous hair and makeup and all those things, the things that society says looks really good, and the commentary about reality television has always been fantastic. That's what's always been the most interesting part of these movies. Granted, since it's now more a rebellion movie and more about the games that focus on that changes, which is understandable, and they managed to keep some of it in, and that was the most interesting part of the movie. But it wasn't in there enough. I mean, for a series called The Hunger Games are usually the least interesting part of the films. Because, in this movie, for those who don't know, if you're not familiar with the Hunger Games series, I'm pretty surprised you can't really figure it out by this point, but Hunger Games Mockingjay takes place sometime after the events of the second movie, where, spoiler alert, Katniss kind of ends the games early by, shooting a lightning rod into the sky, basically. Or arrow that's attached to a lightning rod that gets struck by lightning and goes... long story short, games go boom, and Katniss gets captured by the rebellion, who wants to make her their new, poster girl, I guess. So it takes place sometime after that, when Candace is recovered to the hospital, and they're trying to convince her to be the poster child for this rebellion. And this is one thing I found interesting. Now, it's one of those things that's interesting, and I don't know whether I liked it or I don't. It's kind of weird, because, in the past few movies, the past couple movies, it's always kind of been implied that Katniss is, for all intents and purposes, a tool. Not a tool and she's a douchebag, as in tool just she really has no interest in the political agenda on her own. She's just basically used by other people to kind of spark this rebellion thing, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And I guess that by its own make is kind of interesting. In this movie, it's very much kind of the forefront, where they literally say they basically say, we're gonna use her as propaganda. They're very upfront about it. And she's basically there to be used as a tool for people who have more political power, and to use her for basically to play politics. Now, this is an interesting perspective, and kind of an interesting twist on the whole the one lone rebellion leads the charge for all that. And for all intents and purposes, she really has no power of her own. She's just simply a tool for Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays the rebel politician for the last movie. and Julia Dreyfus, who's in this movie, which I was surprised to see. And I really like Julia Dreyfus. I think it's Julia Dreyfus. I'm gonna look it up, but no, I mean, I really like Julia Dreyfus. Even in the movies I thought she was shitty in, I still think she was good in it, at very least. You know what I meant. Sorry, my mind's all over the place. It's late. It's like almost 11:30 right now. I saw a late night showing of this, and I'm still pissed at people who ditched me in the last second. So yeah, Julie Dreyfus in this movie, and she plays like the president of the underground. I don't really know why they need a president, but I guess, social hierarchy and all that. Oh, sorry, not Julie Dreyfus, Julianne Moore. I don't know why I said Dreyfus, I'm tired. So Julianne Moore plays the president of the underground, and she's working closely with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and she's wants to use Katniss as their poster child to get all the other districts to rebel against the big bad government and conquer over it and establish new democracy all over again. And first, I had a few problems. I had more than a few problems with this. One, the pacing feels kind of weird. I mean, like, the movie plot is kind of predictable, except for the very, very end, which surprisingly I did not see coming, although I probably should have. In that the pacing just feels weird. Like in the last couple movies, yeah, there was a fair amount going on, but there was always a good amount of time for character development. Like, even Woody Harrelson, who comes back in this movie, is given some amount of character development in the last couple movies. But this one, surprisingly, not really. I was kind of surprised and a little disappointed to see that. Because, of course, PETA in the last movies got captured and is now, works as a political spokesman in this movie. And the entire movie, Katniss is just whining about... I guess whining's kind of a harsh term, but just keeps saying that, he's being used, we need to get him out, we need to get him out, we need to get him out. That's all she ever talks about. And that's really kind of her character stance the entire movie. I mean, she still plays the part, she still works as the poster child, and she still says things that they want her to say and shit. But in the end, that's all she really does in this movie, is just be the poster child. She doesn't even really fight that often. The entire climax, she doesn't do anything except talk to the main villain, who is just your run-of-the-mill evil dictator villain. You might as well call him Hitler, because it's the same goddamn thing. And I love villains. I love a movie with a good villain. You can make that kind of villain interesting, but here we've seen this so many times, and it's just he's not given any depth for the last couple movies. From even the first movie, he was just the evil dictator. In the second movie, he was just the evil dictator. In this movie, now it's more apparent because we don't have other sub-villains to make up for the fact that we have an incredibly shallow main villain. And it's kind of distracting, because that's all he fucking does, is he just monologues about how you need to show the little man their place and all that shit. And it's boring. It's boring. I've seen this so many times before. There's nothing new here. I'm sorry. I did like this movie to an extent. But the problem is, the issues with the franchise, I think, are more apparent now than they were in the previous movies. And a lot of that is due to the fact that a lot of the social satire is gone. Because that was always the strength of the series. Like I said, I guess I should elaborate when I said we had a bit of it here. And a bit of it is in the use of propaganda, which I thought was kind of interesting, in how they used Katniss to promote rebellion, how they used her in, short videos, or basically trailers for the rebellion, which I thought was kind of strange. And how they use it with, the design of her clothes gives off a rebellious attitude, and, how they put her into combat, not to actually have her fight, but just so they can broadcast videos of her on the field, showing her that she is part of this rebellion. I thought all that was interesting. But a lot of that is to the cost of proper character development, and the propaganda stuff isn't emphasized enough, I think, to really keep that level of interest for the entire film. Now, does that ruin it? No. Like I said, having some social satire there does make up for some of the more obvious flaws in this movie. I'm not sure if that sentence made any sense, but just go with me. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. This is the big problem with, like, explain a book that, for all intents and purposes, does not need to be split in two, and splitting it into two. You did not need to make 2 movies out of this. There was not enough material to make this 2 movies. It's just because of the trend that Harry Potter started a few years ago. Now everyone's trying to do it. And here it's like, you need this. You can tell they were stretching for material. I mean, there's a whole tension scene where, I guess, the big bad government is trying to bomb the rebels, but Katniss needs to go back out because her sister's still out there. And she went back for a fucking cat. I'm sorry. The cat's gonna be fine. All right, just leave the fucking cat there. But the whole tension, they have to get her back to the bunker before it goes. But she doesn't even do anything. She stands in the stairwell, yells for her sister's name for a few minutes, and then they walk there together a few seconds before it closes. That's the whole tension building scene. That's all we get. That's fucking boring. God. And then this is bugging from movie 1, and it's bugging the living shit out of me now, is the character of Gale. Now, I'm no fans of the book who will say that he has to be in there. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give a rant to Gale in a second. Gonna take a commercial break. Apparently I'm running out of memory. We'll be right back. Sorry about that. Recording the solo, I was really worried I wasn't gonna have much to say. Clearly I had a lot more than I thought I did. So where was I? Yes, Gale. Okay. Where do I start with this character? Okay. Now, I know a lot of the fans in the book, I guess, are, like, really in favor of this character. I can't figure out why. Maybe he's more developed in the books. I don't know. I haven't read them. I have no intention of reading them. If it's really important, you can explain to me in the comments, but based on what I've seen in the movies, they have tried to convince me for 3 movies now this character is important. I couldn't give 2 shits about this character, because as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done really much. In the first movie, he was in 3 scenes. Maybe 3 scenes. He didn't do shit the entire movie. I was still expected to care about him. In movie 2, he did a little bit more, but still disappeared for the entire second half of the movie. Here, again, same thing. He does a little bit more, still completely irrelevant. The entire movie can be going on without him, without a problem. No one would miss a thing. So why is he in this fucking movie? You know what reason he's in the movie? It's because they want to promote that stupid love triangle bullshit, even though we know she's gonna end up with in the end. So why are we wasting our fucking time? I suppose I should talk about what I did like about this movie. Like I said, I like the propaganda angle. Jennifer Lawrence still gives it her all, regardless of the movie's flaws. She's still great in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman is, again, he's good in this one. May he rest in peace. And he makes the best what material he's given. Julianne Moore, I kind of thought Julianne Moore was kind of floating in for this one. I'm not gonna lie. I usually like Julianne Moore, but here I felt like, I don't know, I felt like she was kind of more just, I'm here for the paycheck, and that's kind of what it was. But it just, I don't know why they keep pushing the character of Gale down my fucking throat. He's in all the interviews, he's still not in the movie very much. Even when he is, he doesn't do anything useful. He doesn't serve a purpose. He's the army grunt. Even then, she basically rejects him in this movie anyway. I'm sorry, I guess I'm just really sick of this character trope. The stupid love triangle bullshit. We know he's not gonna make it to third base because he hasn't done anything. He's not given enough screen time for me to care. And yet the movie still insists that I give a shit about him. That bothers me. That really gets on my nerves. It's because, I don't care. You've tried so hard to make me care. I don't. Stop wasting my time. I don't know. It's there's a few things like that. That's kind of the problem with this. And the characters in this movie in particular just feel more watered down. They don't feel as fleshed out as, or at least, yeah, I'd stick with that. As fleshed out than they did in the last couple movies. Even the ones that weren't given screen time. Even Woody Harrelson feels a little bit more shallow than the stereotypical alcoholic he was in the last couple movies. Even then, I felt like he was still given more to do in the last couple movies than he is here. Like, I guess I count, a lot of the characters feel like they're just there. Like, they're not even really doing anything. Even Katniss, the main character, doesn't really feel like she accomplishes much outside of propaganda. Now, in that particular case, you can make the argument that that was the point. But that still doesn't change the fact that really a lot of what she does in this movie is relatively pointless. I mean, I kind of like the angle they took with Peeta in that, for all intents and purposes, he's still trying to play the political game, because that was always part he did well in the last couple movies, is he knows how to play politics. So I kind of like they explored that angle of it, and I will admit the very end twist with him, I did not see coming. I guess I should elaborate a bit on that. In the end of the movie, the rebellion gets this, like, after they encouraged some people from one district to raid a power dam of the capital, all the power in the main city goes out, for all intents and purposes. So, the rebellion decides to raid parts of the capital to try to rescue Peeta and the other victors who were stuck there. And they more or less succeed only because the government, the big bad government, lets them. And Peeta comes back and she's reunited with Katniss, and then he tries to murder her. I will admit, I did not see that coming. I should have seen that coming. I did not see that coming. So, yeah, he tries to choke her out, and it turns out it's because of brainwashing, basically. And that's the end of the movie. Now, this is the main problem trying to split a book that really does not need to split into two parts, is that the ending of this movie feels very anticlimactic. Like, Katniss is barely involved in it at all. The only thing she does in the whole end sequence, because they go on this operation without her. They leave her there. The only thing it's ever really accomplished is, like, Katniss decides to try to make a broadcast to the main bad guy just so the signal to the Capitol holds up long enough for the main soldiers to get out of there. But that's all she does. She lets the villain monologue. He monologues. He cuts off the signal after he reveals, you think I don't know what you've been doing? Like, we couldn't see that coming. And honestly, God, I thought they were all going to die. That's how I thought it was going to end. But no, he lets them take the victors back because, fuck it, why not? And then, yeah, Peeta tries to kill Katniss. That's the end of the movie. Fails, of course, but tries all the same. But it's like, there's not much sense of real threat to our main protagonist, because she's safe and cuddly inside the bunker. She's not doing anything. So why should I care about a bunch of no-name soldiers in Gale who's in this fucking building thing not doing anything? Sorry, I got this guy who's parking his bike in front of my car. It's making me a little nervous. But, anyway. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much... Oh, no, I take it back. I do have things to say about this. So, they just turned all the lights off on me. Okay, I guess that means it's past midnight. Yes, is it past midnight? No, it's 11:30. Okay, feels like I've been home longer. But even then, like, some of the things in this movie are really fucking questionable. Like, apparently, the people who want to really rebel against the district, well, just do any old, like, just, you're like, the people they say won't mimic stuff on TV, they mimic everything Katniss does on TV. Like, right down to the song she sings, right down to the random statements she makes when they're making the broadcast. And I get the reason why. It's the whole propaganda is like encouraging everyone to do these acts. But even then, the way the rebellion rebels against the big bad government is so asinine and stupid. Like, this is the dumbest rebellion I've seen in a long ass time. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, the first one we see is like a bunch of lumberjack people, and in retaliation, the rebels gain more strength. They decide that, okay, we're gonna do that thing where we make them do more work to encourage them not to rebel, because that always works. And of course, the loggers rebel, and they try to run, a lot of them are gunned down, a lot of them just start climbing trees. And then so the people with guns that are marching behind them naturally start shooting, and then they start climbing trees, and they start shooting when they're climbing trees, and then suddenly they can't, they cross the tree line, they can't see them anymore, so they stop shooting, allowing the people to set off bombs that apparently were planted on the ground. My question is, why the fuck would you stop shooting? Where else are they going to go? They only have one way out. They're not doing Planet of the Apes shit and swinging from the trees. They're just hanging there. Shoot up. It's not hard to figure out. And then there's the other dumbass decision when they try to take the power dam, and they just, no weapons, no guns, nothing whatsoever, not even fucking spears or anything. They just decide to charge in mass number at this station, knowing full well that most of these guys are cannon fodder. They're basically just hoping that enough people take the bullet so they can get their bombs inside there. This is like the worst strategy. This is like going out to a Russian warfield and say, let's just send people at the tanks until they're clanked and their tank trays get clogged up by body parts. It's just really bad strategy. I don't know. It's one of those things. I guess if you're like a really, really big fan of the books, you'll like this alright. But I don't know. For me, it's like, it's worth a rental, maybe. But I don't know. I don't think I can recommend paying full price for this if you're like me and you see this shit that really bugs you. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I guess I see too much that kind of bugs me about this to fully recommend it. But if you're a fan of the books, you'll probably like it fine. I don't know how close they follows it. People in my theater seem to like it. So, we got like one guy like in the front that's like, woo, yeah! Go Hunger Games and shit, woo! I don't know. But, yeah, I guess take that as you will. So, I guess I'll talk about trailers then, since there's, I don't know, since it's just me, I might skip a lot of these. Well, I will talk about one, because this is the big one that just premiered earlier today, which was Star Wars trailer. Yay! Star Wars is back! Woo! Hopefully this one won't suck. Yeah, so we got the first teaser trailer for the Star Wars series. The new Star Wars trilogy, I guess. Star Wars Episode 7. Didn't learn shit about the plot, but did get some cool-ass visuals. This is the first one, obviously, been directed by J.J. Abrams. And we got some cool, interesting visuals. Like, we got Soccer Ball R2-D2. And, like, the cool lightsaber that looked like it was kind of branded in the factory. Some, like, a cheaply made lightsaber that had the cool little, I don't know what you call them, safeguards, but with lasers. Ooh. I don't know. I think one interesting thing about the trailer is the fact that it looks like one of my main protagonists might be a stormtrooper, which is actually a unique angle to take it from. And they go that route. I'm curious to see what they do with that. And I do like the fact that the CGI in this movie almost looks like a more old-fashioned kind of CGI. Like, it's used to build a world rather than just relying on the CGI to tell the story. And if it's used from that angle, it could be good. I mean, like, the CGI, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like, it feels almost old school while still using new tech, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm sure most of you watching have seen the trailer by now, so you know a lot of the shit I'm talking about. Either way, the Millennium Falcon looks cool. Looks like it has, like, the style and the tone of Star Wars right, based on the small stuff I saw here. I mean, it's hard to say without seeing a full-length trailer of kind of what they're going for. But, I don't know, it makes me optimistic, makes me excited, which is refreshing. Because it doesn't look like what they did in the last three movies, where they're just making explosions and CGI for the sake of making CGI. Okay, I may be pulling that one on my ass, because for all intents and purposes, all we saw was CGI. But, I don't know, I'm excited. I'm curious to see where they're going with it. So, yeah, I guess that really sums everything up. So, if, I'm sorry I don't have it with me today, but there's a lot of me today. Yay! So take my opinion as you will. If you're a Hunger Games fan, just ignore me. You'll like the movie fine. If you're like me, you're going to have the same problems I did. So take that as you will. And we'll be back next week. We got a few movies to catch up on. Quite a few, actually. I think we got Horror Bosses 2, Imitation Game. And there's one more I'm forgetting, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, thank you all for watching, guys. See you all later.
Yeah.